objective of this part of the session is to briefly introduce our PhD schools. We will go now to our last presentation of the University of Zaragoza. Eva is here with us today, so the floor is yours.
So, good afternoon or whatever. I'm Eva Cerezo from the University of Zaragoza. I'm the Deputy Director of the Doctoral School there. And okay, the University of Zaragoza is a quite big and generalistic university, and so it's also its doctoral school. We have more than 2,400 PhD students enrolled. These are numbers from last course, and more or less 20% of them are international PhD students. There in the map you can see where do they come from, and I have to say that many of them come from the Central and South America, but also from other countries, as you may see. All the doctoral programs are centralized by this one big doctoral school. In fact, there are 47 doctoral programs. 10 of them are interuniversitary, so with other Spanish university. And we group them, these 47, in 5 knowledge branches. There you can see these 5 branches and the more important thematic lines which are covered in each of them. So arts and humanities, science with all geology, physics, chemistry, health science with medicine and psychology, social science and law. There also is economy, law, education, sociology, also some very specific or transversal ones like the gender relations and feminist studies. And at last but not least, engineering and architecture with all the lines of fields of engineering, including informatics, energy and environment, and architecture. I put there the website and also the links because, as Anna told, you are going to have also the slides, as far as I know. I wanted to emphasize that there also in that web, there are 5 webinars in Spanish aimed to Ibero-American students. In each of these webinars, each of the branches with all the thematic lines are explained by the program coordinators, but also researchers, PhD students, and so on. So I think it could be quite interesting for students coming from South America to have more information. About the general access condition, it's like all the others I have we have already seen: a master's degree, or more generally the qualification that gives you access in your country of origin to the doctorate degree. If you come from outside the European higher education area, you have to request for access, and this is usually done in June. And then the admission and enrollment is usually done in September. So before that enrollment or admission general process, you have to apply in June and request for access. Of course, each doctoral program may require some more specific requirements in terms of what kind of degree. It is mandatory or established, and this is also quite common, some formation complements to the students, but these are complements that have to be acquired just in the University of Zaragoza once enrolled to complement the basic degree or the initial degree of the students. The duration of a PhD, it's regulated by Spanish laws, so it's 3 years plus 1 year extension, and I have to say that it's the most common situation is 4 years for a duration of a PhD here. You can also apply for an extraordinary extension of 1 more year. Of course, this duration is for full-time PhD because it is possible to do a PhD in some kind of part-time if you are at the same time working, because it's possible to do it, and then this duration gets, of course, longer. Regarding funding, it's a little bit different as the things that we have already seen, because the University of Zaragoza has not specific funding for PhD. The doctoral students access through a variety of grants, and nowadays most of them are not grants but predoctoral contracts that come from, yes, regional and national calls, public institutions, but also many from private institutions, foundations, companies, and so on. And I have to say that many of the international doctoral students here enjoy grants from public and private institutions from their countries of origins. There are specific funding opportunities, and there are links to our specific places in the web for Iberoamerican students. And I would like to emphasize one of these specific calls, Ayudas Santander, UCETA, that are from the Santander Bank, there are grants for Iberoamerican studies students, to come to University of Zaragoza to do a PhD. To have some idea of the kind of amounts that we are talking about, for example, this grant is 1,000 euros per month plus an initial 1,200 euros amount for settlement, initial settlement. And I have to say also the calls, for example, the national calls for PhD students are around, yes, 1,200, 1,400 euros per month. I have to say that the enrollment fees at the PhD school here in Zaragoza are quite low, around just 200 euros every year. Also, I wanted to emphasize that there is a mentoring program that we call Iberos Connect that facilitates integration of the international students once they are here in Zaragoza. About the general information on how to push the PhD, it's quite similar as we have already seen. Perhaps the most different thing is that here, besides the thesis supervisor, plus perhaps one course supervisor, there's a student tutor to help the student with all the administrative stuff. And there's also, each doctoral program has a commission. And as we have already seen here also, they supervise and evaluate every year the research plan and the activities done by the students. And you have to have a positive assessment to be able to continue with your PhD. Mobility is not mandatory, but is strongly encouraged. Most of our PhD have this international doctorate mention, and to have it, they require to spend at least 3 months of stay abroad. And I have to say that there are many mobility funding possibilities, not always Erasmus, not only Erasmus Plus, but also many national and regional calls to do this mobility. Regarding courses or training during the PhD, really there's not so formal courses that you have to do or to enroll, but there's some amount of activities or specific formation activities that you have to do. How many hours? That depends on each doctoral program. They organize specific formation activities, and some of them are mandatory. And also the School of Doctoral Studies organizes a wide range of courses, similar what we have heard about ethics, research dissemination, entrepreneurships, emotional intelligence, gender, and so on. When you get to the final steps, so you have, yes, to write your thesis, and then you have to call for approval to the committee of your doctoral program. To get this positive assessment, they analyze the contributions of the thesis, and I have to say most of the requirements are related to publications, and publications in international journals mostly. Okay. Also, they assess the activities carried out by the student during all the PhD program. Of course, there could be special requirements depending on the different PhD modalities, because we have also some kind of PhD that we call industrial PhDs, that there is a company also related to that research. There are co-tutels, international mentions, and so on. The committee is usually just composed by 3 renowned researchers. They have to be majority of them external to the University of Zaragoza. And of course, there cannot be the PhD supervisors. And that's it. I have put there my contact information and also that link to the collection of webinars and different brochures and catalogs about this information, more detail than what I have done this afternoon. Okay, so that's it.
Thank you.
I stopped. Okay, presentation.
Yeah. Thank you, Eva, and thank you to all the schools for your presentations.